Hello, my name is Reva, and this is my project on evaluating linguistic relativity through the grammatical gender of inanimate nouns and their co-occurring adjectives. Does language shape the way we think? This is a question that might seem simple enough, but it's something that's actually baffled linguists for a very long time. The idea that the structures of a language can shape the way its speakers think is called linguistic relativity, and although it can present itself in many ways, we're going to look at one in particular, and that's grammatical gender. For our purposes, we're going to consider a gendered language as one that sorts nouns into two buckets, masculine and feminine. There are languages that have way more than these two grammatical genders, but this is what we're going to look at for now. So why are some nouns masculine and others feminine anyways? The thing is, nobody really knows, and it's generally agreed that these distinctions are completely arbitrary. But still, they exist. So let's look at the word key. In Spanish, the word for key is la llave, which is feminine, and in German, it's der Schlüssel. Forgive my pronunciation, and that's masculine. So does this mean that Spanish speakers think about keys as being more feminine in nature? So would they describe them as dainty, like delicate, pretty, more stereotypically feminine words like that? And on the contrary, would German speakers describe keys as like sturdy, jagged, rough? According to one study by Phillips and Boroditsky, this is the case. So they identified a causal relationship between the gender of inanimate nouns and the way that these nouns are used. But still, the legitimacy of the study has been called into question many, many times, and its results have actually been proven and disproven. So this relationship, so the extent of this relationship is still not fully understood. We're going to look at three specific research questions. The first being, is there a relationship between the grammatical gender of a noun and the adjectives used to describe it? Secondly, is this relationship an appropriate metric with which to evaluate linguistic relativity? And lastly, the big picture question here is that to what extent, if any, do the grammatical structures of a language influence the way its speakers think? So the first step in this project is to gather our data, and we're going to be looking at four languages: English, Turkish, Spanish, and Basque, which span every combination of gendered and non-gendered, and prenominal and postnominal. Prenominal and postnominal just refer to the order of adjectives and nouns. We're gonna want to find natural language, so something that's conversational and comparable across these languages. Um, we don't want one data set to be super formal academic writing and the other to be like super casual conversational data. So we found the two corpora listed below. The one for English is still to be determined. From there, we cleaned our data, which involved tagging and parsing it with Stanza, which is a very useful tool. We saved all these tokens as lemmas, so they're dictionary like root form, with like accompanying morphological tags of gender, so masculine, feminine, and number, which is singular or plural. From there, we extracted these noun adjective pairs and stored them in the format that you see at point two, and then that brought us to the last step of this process, which was animacy detection. So this pro so this detection of inanimate versus animate nouns is actually not all that straightforward. And so the way we accomplished this was by translating every noun into English and then comparing its synset, so its set of synonyms, and evaluating it against the word person and seeing um, if they share any hypernyms. And so after this cleaning process was done, we ended up with a little over 3,500 pairs for both Turkish and Spanish. So our very, very preliminary results are listed here. You can see that we calculated the normalized mutual information for the gender adjective for the gender adjective relationship in Spanish, and the number adjective relationship for Spanish and Turkish. So an NMI of 0 indicates absolutely no correlation, and an NMI of 1 indicates complete and total dependence. You can see they're very close to 0, but they're all sort of within like 0.03 of each other. So there really isn't much we can conclude from our results so far. On the right, I've included word clouds for adjectives used to describe masculine nouns in Spanish, or masculine and feminine nouns in Spanish, as well as all adjectives in Turkish. And as you can see, there's no apparent pattern there either. So the next steps are just to find an appropriate English corpus, run run the Basque and English corpora through the data processing pipeline, and develop a better metric to compare gendered and non-gendered languages. And I hope to conclude this project by June. And I don't have time to read all of my acknowledgments, but again, a big thank you to everyone who supported me in this project so far. And these are my references.